And I'm tossing this straight across to Paulavi Saha to get us the live conversation with Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia, the Civil Aviation Minister. Paulavi, it's over to you. Thank you. Right, Akshata, thank you so much. Good morning, viewers. We are now bringing you a live conversation with Union Civil Aviation Minister, Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia. Today is a big day. Air India has taken to the skies as a Tata enterprise. Again, after 16 long years, it has returned home. The Maharaja has returned home. And this has been a very long and a tedious process. A lot of ticking of boxes that happened between 2017 when the cabinet gave in principle approval for the divestment of Air India to 2022, 27th of January, when the handover took place. Mr. Scindia, thank you so much for speaking to India Today, sir. How relieved are you feeling, sir? How relieved are you feeling, sir? A big responsibility off your table.
Well, let me say this, that not only I, but I think the civil aviation fraternity and the people of India at large all stand to gain from the culmination of a very, very long process that has been in the making for almost over two decades. And I'm extremely relieved and extremely happy that we have culminated this transaction. Through you, I would like to congratulate the new owners, the Tatas of Air India, and wish them the very best. And it's only because of the steely resolve and grim determination of our Prime Minister that this process has actually seen the light of day. A company that had been bleeding for the last 20-odd years, close to about between debt and equity, 2 lakh crores of taxpayers' money, almost 20 crores a day, today has been handed over to the private sector. And I'm very confident that with the Tata's infusion of talent as well as resources, Air India will once again command the high skies that it always has. I would also like to say that this is a testament to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government and his initiative that the responsibility of government is not to be in business, but instead to create an environment for business to flourish and for the ecosystem to flourish. And this is exactly what you have seen in this precedent with the Air India privatization transaction.
At any stage, Mr. Scindia, did you feel that, this process could be derailed, especially with the litigation, the Davis litigation as well? Did you feel that the process could be derailed?
Well, there were many times when certainly what appeared to be as roadblocks, but I must thank all the members of the Civil Aviation Ministry and all the members of Air India that put their best foot forward, along with the Finance Ministry and DIPAM, and ensured that this transaction sees the light of day finally. And I'm sure that even for the civil aviation industry in the days to come, it will herald a new dawn. And we will have another India flag carrier in the form of Air India commanding the skies, domestic and international, in the days to come.
Right, so this is a privatization process that has in fact reached the culmination stage, has been culminated. That's happening almost after 2 decades. The last one possibly happened around 2003, 2004. Any sort of key learnings, though?
Many key learnings. I think the process has to be always iterative. The process has to be consultative, and you have to evolve the best way forward, which is what you have seen with this transaction. This privatization program, which started, as you mentioned, in 2017, has gone through many iterations through the process. Initially, we were looking at selling 76%. Then we looked at a golden share option. Then we looked at 100% debt option, and it has evolved through the process. And I think that shows the outlook of Prime Minister's government and Prime Minister's view that we have to ensure that a transaction happens and make sure that it's a consultative process as we go along. And that has been the hallmark of this government.
Right. So as Aviation Minister, any words for Tata Sons as they take over? Something, they've been in the business, they are in the business of aviation already, but any sort of words of advice? Anything you'd like to tell them?
I wish them all the very best. They have all the required talent as well as strategy elements to make this a success. I'm very, very confident, and more power to the elbow, and may they fly high.
Right. So what about the debt component that the government retains, especially in the SPV? Where are we? Where do things stand in terms of clearing that? Also, in terms of monetizing the non-core assets, land, buildings, etc.
So roughly, I'm giving you just some rough numbers out there. The total debt roughly is about between 60 to 70,000 crores. That includes the current liabilities. Of that, as you are aware, the Tatas in their bid, 85% of their bid price goes towards debt, and therefore roughly 15,300 crores of that debt overhang is lowered. So we're looking at approximately 47,000 crore debt burden, which has been transferred to the SPV. And with the non-core assets, as well as the 2,700 crore that we have received in equity from the transaction bid of 18,000 crores, that will get lowered. And I'm very confident that the SPV with its non-core assets will be able to look after its debt burden.
Okay.
On the Air India front, all the current debts have been cleared by the Government of India. And again, I'd like to thank the Ministry of Finance for their full cooperation towards that effort prior to handing it over, apart from the numbers that I have just mentioned to you.
Okay. So what's the next big task on your table right now? Also, in terms of, your vision for the aviation sector, in terms of infrastructure growth, because, for instance, even though the third wave, for instance, has slowed down traffic, we do see that airlines are struggling for slots, for terminal capacity. What are we thinking about on those lines?
Well, we had through our policy formulations, we had an extremely robust return to normalcy post Delta. As of October 18th, we were operating at 100% capacity. Capacity caps were done away with. Seat load factors by December were in the mid-80s, which is extremely robust for the aviation sector. But then Omicron came along.
Yeah.
And so those numbers have again reduced significantly. But I'm very confident that once Omicron tides over in the next couple of weeks, we will again see a resurgence in air travel. Air travel today is no longer a luxury. It has become a necessity. With lowered fares, it has become one of the most viable forms of travel. And I'm very confident that we will go back to the pre-COVID numbers again. Just like we did in the month of November and December, pre-COVID numbers per day were roughly about 4 lakh travelers, 4 to 4.2 lakh travelers. We were roughly at about 3.9 lakhs in the months of November and December. So I'm very confident that we'll not only go back to that, but surpass that. We are also looking at putting in place policy initiatives to make sure that there is capacity augmentation, both in terms of new airport development, private sector plus the government, Airports Authority of India. As you have seen, we have inaugurated almost 3 or 4 new airports, be it Dehradun, be it Kushinagar, be it Agartala. We have laid the foundation stone of a number of new airports, and that huge upside in terms of airport development is going to continue with the likes of Jewar and so on and so forth. So we hope to see a great growth in this sector. But let me underline for you, Paulomi, that it's not only about airports and airlines. It's about the whole ecosystem.
Right.
And therefore, I'm looking at MROs, I'm looking at cargo, I'm looking at regional airlines, I'm looking at seaplane operations, helicopter operations. because we need to give the whole sector a boost to make sure that this sector goes to where it needs to in terms of improving infrastructure in India. And that's why we've come out with new policy initiatives on MROs, on helicopters, and so on and so forth. And that process will continue.
So 2 quick questions before I let you go. I know you're working on a very tight schedule, but my second last question is about the budget. I know this is the question which possibly pertains to the Ministry of Finance, but for instance, Rano Datta recently put out a statement where he said that, we cannot be paying so many indirect taxes. Central excise taxes on fuel needs to be reduced from 11% to 5%. Bring ATF under the ambit of GST. Where do we stand on that, sir?
Well, Paulomi, as you're aware, and I'm sure Rano Joyce Datta of Indigo is aware as well, in the last 3 or 4 months, we have taken on a Herculean initiative, that of reducing VAT on ATF levied by states. That VAT ranged in the area of 2% to almost 30%, varying from state to state when I took over. We had, among the 36 states, almost about 28 states that were in the range of 8% to 30%. Over the last 4.5 months, we have been successful in lowering VAT on ATF down from high levels of 25, 28, and 30% down to 1 to 2% across almost 10 states. And that includes very, very large states like Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and many others. And the pioneers in this field, and I'd like to thank the state governments, the chief ministers, through your program as well, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, Andaman and Nicobar, and all of these larger states as well that have done a tremendous effort, including Karnataka, that's lowered it from 28% to 18%, to give a new impetus to the civil aviation sector. And I think this itself will add tremendous capabilities to our carriers to be able to, in this difficult environment, at least stay out of the red. And I think that is been one of my policy imperatives. And I'm very thankful to all the state governments that have heard our voice, 10 specifically, and the process still carries on for the balance 7 or 8 that are remaining.
Right. So one final political question, if I may. I was at that press conference recently at the Bharatiya Janata Party office where Mr. RPN Singh was joining the BJP. You were on the dais as well. Your thoughts, your comments, sir, on the crisis in Congress leadership and the exodus from the party, sir?
Well, I am an ordinary worker of the Bharatiya Janata Party. I'd like to restrict my comments to my party. I welcome Mr. RPN Singh. I think he brings with him a tremendous repertoire and a capability of grassroots politics. And I welcome him into our party. I'm sure he'll be a great asset to the party going forward. As far as other political parties are concerned, they have to drive their own destiny and they have to make their choices and their decisions. The Bharatiya Janata Party is focused only on one thing under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and our President JP Nadda ji and our Home Minister Amit Shah ji, which is development, 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 and Antyodaya, which means really eradicating poverty and alleviating the economic situation of millions of those in our country to make sure that they get the maximum out of opportunities in the coming years.
Right. Mr. Scindia, thank you so much for speaking exclusively to India Today, sir. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your thoughts with us on Air India as it takes flight today as a Tata Sons enterprise. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.